It's no accident that sounds like you're leveling up in a video game. 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds have an online dating profile.
Make them work for it.
45% of people say they're more frustrated with this form of dating than hopeful.
There are so many people you can connect with.
Should I swipe right?
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong. Setting the record straight on dating apps. Everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world with your host, Koss.
Well, I know he had a good time.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. So welcome to the Swipe Wrong podcast. I am your host. I'm Koss. I'm that guy. I get to be that guy. Maybe I'm saying that too much. I don't ever want to be that guy. But for this instance, it's just fun to say. Welcome to the #1 podcast amongst women who go to hockey games who wish all they got was 2 minutes for hooking. That's what they wish. Welcome. Hopefully you're kind of enjoying the different episodes right now. We're doing catching up with some folks who we talked to about a year ago. Like, follow, subscribe, send it out to your friends, rate us, let us know how we're doing. Shoot me a text, give me a call, 317-426-6616 if you have a story that you want us to put on the show, or you just want to tell your story. Like I hate to make it sound like, hey, you have this crazy date that you need to tell everybody about. The important thing about telling that story really comes back to, you want to make sure that other people who may have had the same experience don't think that they're alone. That's what this whole thing started off. That's the crux of all of this, is that people just thought they were attracting the crazy. And some of them are, some can, some do, some, maybe, but it's not the case entirely. Like there's everyone's going through the same journey, and we're all just trying to figure it out together. So, but let me know. You can send us an email, swipewrongpod@gmail.com, just to let us know what's out there. Some folks are starting to write their stories and tell us your stories that way. Got a couple through Facebook Messenger too. Just trying to figure out the best way to deliver those. Anyway, we're continuing this. We're getting going. This was, I think it was like episode 14. We started to get into the polygamists, the two awesome women who were a part of the polygamists. The thing that I think was unique about this one is I think the first instance where I heard a couple of women were dating the same guy, and there ended up being 4, I think, total that were seeing this guy that they didn't know about, and they kind of found out from each other, and then they became besties. Like they were each other. Now there is literally a text group amongst them to where they're still dating. So when they reach out and say, hey, what do you think of this guy? What do you think's going on here? Which I think everybody should have that support staff one way or another. I know that I do. I'm a part of a couple, and I think it's great. I think everybody should. So for all that, I guess it's being said, let's continue to move on and catch up with one of the young ladies who was a part of the polygamist episodes.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions or any entities they represent. This podcast is about dating experiences. It is not to say one dating app is better or worse than another.
So you know how intense it was. Actually, last time, the funny thing was, I think it was you, me, and your dog, if I remember right.
Yeah. And you know what? My dog is here. He's like, she's home. And so he's trying. If you hear squeaking in the background, you hear me saying like, no, it's
okay. It's okay. Yeah. That's how it went last time. If he just makes an appearance, he makes an appearance. You know how formal I am. I'm so formal.
That's so formal here.
So formal. We're going strict. So let's just do this. So you were the second polygamist episode. I think I even forget what I called it, to be honest with you, but I know it was that. And so I think we're about a year into this show. So we're checking in on people. We're making sure, hey, still alive, haven't thrown stuff at the wall or haven't stopped dating or anything. So I just want to check in. One, you're alive, it looks like, healthy, wonderful, still beautiful, still looking amazing. How's it been going?
It's been going really well. I would say things have definitely gone upward since the polygamist experience.
I hope so. I hope so. If we went down from there, we would have had to hug it out.
It can't get much worse, right?
Right.
But honestly, that experience brought me so many great new friends. And so I'm so grateful for them. They've served as a great network and just kind of think tank. I even, just before this call, was on a call with one of my friends from that connection, and getting her opinion on something on a man that I've gone on a few dates with.
Really?
And she's helping me navigate, like the response and what I should be thinking about and what I should be, saying. And so that's fun. It's fun. And, ever since we checked in last, I have still been dating. I think I talked about this where I had the intentional dating period set in my phone.
Yeah.
Where I did some of that. And I had a whole Mantrix kind of process worked out where I really went all in and I treated it with some real effort, because I think I mentioned this before too. I feel that you get out of dating what you put in. And so if I want somebody to show up for me that's going to communicate and make time and put in the effort, their willingness needs to be greater than their wanting to, right? And I'm looking for that. And so I would say I've been more successful with meeting people that are kind of on that wavelength. And it's much easier now to identify those that the connection isn't there, or that maybe we have misaligned interests or values. So it's been a lot of fun. I did use this summer to intentionally date, and I'll be winding down in a little bit if I don't, connect with somebody that I like.
What does intentionally date look like? I mean, what's different than that than, I don't know, just letting your freak flag fly or whatever? I don't know what other alternative there is.
Yeah. No, intentionally dating, I'm referring to online dating, basically, for me, the intentional dating. And if you meet somebody in the wild, let's say at the gym or at the grocery store, that's okay. I will continue to push myself outside of my comfort zone as far as approaching someone or, introducing myself or just talking to people. I've done some traveling solo in the last few months. And so all of that stuff I want to continue. And so that's still on the table. But when I mean intentional dating, I'm talking about using the apps and just being really aware of burnout. So when you put so much effort into something like this, when you're actively swiping on profiles, responding to messages, that really does take from your energy tank and your sources of energy. And so for me, I like to have a period of time where I know I'm going to put that effort in, and then I'm going to take a pause, focus on some other goals and things. And that time's kind of coming to an end. So what I've been doing is on the apps, I set time aside every day to open the apps, because they all are based on algorithms and activity. I think we've talked about that before, where Bumble will know, once you open the app, they'll kind of send you reminders, or they'll give you a ping. Hey, we see that you're out there searching. So they try to hook you back in to keep you active on the apps. And I want that right now. I want to be showing up in the searches of other people. So I'll make time for that every day. I'll also make time for any conversations that I might have started with someone. And so I'll be intentional to respond. I make sure to compliment someone's profile. I'll make sure to then follow it up with some great questions to try to get to know someone enough to determine whether or not I want to meet that person offline.
Gotcha. So that's cool. Cause I think there's been a lot of aha. Like when you and I talked the first time, I'd never heard of the Mantrix before. I mean, it was pretty much kind of, a hybrid of something that you turned into your baby, if I remember correctly. And now, we're talking intentional dating, but then you've even taken it to how you're documenting everything, which I think is pretty fucking cool. You've got me just sitting there going, what's she up to now? What's happening now? It's okay. Let's see the follow-up. And I'm just sitting back and I've got my popcorn and shit. I'm like, well, that sounded like that went pretty good.
Yeah. So let me tell you about that a little bit. So this was probably last spring. I was at work and a friend of mine suggested it to me. She said, Maggie, the way you talk about your dates, when you come to this group chat and you share with us the updates, she said, I live for that. She's like, I love listening to it. She said, the way you share information, you really should think about starting a podcast. And I said, well, I don't have time for all of that. But what I could do, and what I think I am pretty, I enjoy, I don't even want to say I'm good at, but I do enjoy creating content on social media. And so I do that for my other line of work. And so they suggested it, and I threw it around, and this is actually funny, Chris. I created the handle, and I didn't keep it private. At first it was public, and it had my picture on it. Okay. Sure, at first.
Sure. Yeah.
And I had just matched with a guy. Well, he must have done some stalking on the internet. And he found it, and I got a text. This is before we even met up for a date. And he said, so what's first date update? LOL. And I thought, oh, well, shit. I probably need to explain this because that could maybe look a little.
I love this.
So I actually abandoned it for a little bit. I was like, oh my God, I'm busted. People are going to think I'm talking about them and putting their profile up there, kind of like, one of those Facebook groups that everyone's talking about where the men are in. And, it's nothing like that. Nothing at all like that. And so I took some time to kind of reflect on that. And I thought, well, how can I do this in a way that protects my individuality and my person, who I am as a person, and also protects the people that I am dating, because it's not my intent to put anybody out there on blast. So what I did is I created a logo. I made it private. I'm in control of who has access to it. So if it's somebody that I maybe have dated in the past and I don't want them to see who I'm dating right now, I'm not going to let them in.
That's fair.
So I started this page, and then what I do is when I have a date set up, I will go to the first date update live feed, and I will do a pre-date update where I share, what I'm wearing, anything that's just kind of on my mind. I connect with the audience and just talk about stuff that we all think about pre-date. We'll talk about our playlists. I might share where I'm going that night. I'll give general information about the individual, but I will never share their name. I never put pictures of anybody. I don't give personal information out because it's not about that. It's more about this is the dating experience of what a 40-something woman with kids goes through post-divorce, and, let's all figure this out together kind of thing. So I do the pre-date update, then I go on the date, and I have in the past done some updates while on the date in the bathroom. I did do that once.
I think I did see one of those. I forgot about that.
Yep, there was. I was like, oh, it's going pretty well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then afterwards, I will record a first date update where I share my grade. Basically, I'll give this one 5 stars, or I give this one a B-, or this one, and I'll explain why. I'll talk about all of the things, not just what the person looked like or, physical stuff. It's, any red flags that I may have picked up on. I'll tell you just one real quick one. This one's funny.
Yeah, please do.
On a date, this is an example. I was on a date and this man was telling me about a woman that he went, he's like, oh yeah, I'm divorced. And mind you, he's like 50. Okay. He's like, I'm divorced. I have a daughter. She's 18. And I love, rock climbing. He's like, I have this friend I'm going to hang out with next weekend. She's 22, and we kind of go rock climbing together, and she's just my buddy. And, we're going to go see a concert together. And I'm listening to him talk to me about his buddy who's 22 and, is not, not dating anyone, and she's single, and, they're just good friends. I'm like, that's kind of a red flag. Right. Yeah. So I'll share stuff like that on my first date update. And I'll just say, weigh in here, ladies. If that was something someone shared with you, is that a red flag? Yes or no? So we'll talk about some of that stuff. And then awesome. What I do then is I take those live videos, I download them to my phone, and I put them together in a reel. And I'll add stickers and emojis and polls. And I have them in a collection on my page of all of the first dates that I've gone on. And I have quite a few right now, Chris.
Yeah, I bet you have. Look, they're very cute. The reels are very cute with the emojis and stuff in there. They're like some animation will pop up and it makes me laugh. I want to go back to when the guy found out that you were first date update. How did you feel? Were you like, oh shit, I don't want this dude to think I'm putting him on blast or anything like that? Is that how you felt? Yeah.
Absolutely.
The reason I ask, and I don't mean to interrupt, is because when I've matched with people in the past and they've seen that I do this show, they think I am just trying to match up with them to put them on blast on the show. And they like a couple of people have legit said, hey, I think something's up and I don't want to talk to you. And I've been like, oh shit. So when you said that, I was like, oh, I know where this is going. Oh shit. And damn, I was like, holy cow.
It definitely is. I can see from your perspective how that's a challenge too. And I've talked to my other friend who also has a podcast, kind of similar, sharing stories.
Sure.
And again, I think it's
the Thirsty podcast, right? Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, I've listened to it. I like it. Yeah, she does a good job.
She does a great job. But again, I love that everything is anonymous. I love that the intent is never to publicly shame or call out individual people. And so I really, when I first had that message from that gentleman, I thought, shoot, it's not like, oh no, I'm busted. It's more of, I don't want him to think that I'm just doing this for content, or for a good story, because my intention behind it really is to help me make, to really put myself out there, to meet more people. And by doing it this way, it takes the pressure off a little bit. I feel like, well, if all else fails, I'll end up with a good story. And you probably can relate to that a little bit, right?
100%. And we started talking before we started recording, which I want to get back to the fact that you look at things a little bit differently now by doing this, right?
Yeah.
How's that work? I mean, what do you mean?
I think in the past, I would enter each situation with the goal or the hope that it's going to turn into a lasting relationship. And I would start to almost imagine myself dating that person. What would it be like if this was my boyfriend, or if this person met my kids, or if we, how would we, I wouldn't really go, I don't know if marriage is necessarily something I'm looking for at this point in my life, but I would go there in my brain and I would think, long term. And now I've reframed it and I enter these experiences with, let's just focus on this experience. Let's take it for just this. It is one dinner, it is one coffee, it is one workout, one rock climb, whatever it might be. That's it. That's all I need to focus on. And then I get to sit back and I get to really ask myself, how did it feel being with this person? Did we connect? Did we have a connection? Do I want to see this person again? Those are my questions that I ask myself now. And I kind of just do that live with my online community.
So I've always said, no, I shouldn't say always since I've been doing the show, at least, experiences over expectations. And that sounds like where you've gone from. You've gone from maybe not an expectation of marrying this person, but a visualization of seeing it, which sometimes that can manifest itself into expectation, maybe. I don't know. But then you're like, okay, forget that. Let's step back. And now you're just going to go, all right, experience. And then you assess the experience too, which sounds like it is so, my opinion, you can tell me to go fuck myself because I'm getting that a lot today anyway. That just sounds so much healthier too and happier.
Yes, I think it's much healthier. And I can even share an example. I think before, when I was doing this, I led with such emotion and I got so wrapped up in, but my feelings for this person. I just know that if he was feeling it too, it'd be so great. He'd be so perfect. If only, and now I try to kind of step back. I don't want to say that I'm callous or not emotional. I still have I'm a very emotional person and being, but I'll kind of table that a little, step back and look at the whole picture and say, okay, yes, I love being around this person. Yes, we have a lot of fun in the moment. Yes, this is date 3 that we're finishing here, but let's look at how the communication's been over the last, few weeks. Let's look at how many times he's canceled plans and wants to reschedule. Let's look at all those things, because what are those things telling me? Let's take out of it that emotional body for just a second and really look at some of those bigger picture, things that are important.
I love that, because the question I was going to ask you is not that if you already answered it pretty much. It's not that you're not emotional about anything, maybe desensitized about some of the things. Because I feel a little bit like I think of all right, so when we first talked, you mentioned coming out of a divorce at one point, wondering if you still had it anymore, like going through the evolution of then to now. Like, how much growth do you think you've had from then to now? Personal growth.
Gosh, it's been incredible, the amount of growth. It really has. I'm not even close to being the same person. I actually had this conversation today with a girlfriend of mine. I think that when I first started dating after divorce, I got so wrapped up in wanting people to like me, and I believed I really believed that, for example, if somebody was intimate with me, that meant they really liked me,
Sure.
And I just didn't understand how the app world worked. I didn't understand that people use them as a means to an end, and their end wasn't the same as mine, And so I think, like I've said, I think the process of kind of going through some of that heartbreak and that hurt has really shown me that, there's a lot of growth that can happen. Going slow really is the key, and being clear on my own values and boundaries and expectations from the get-go will help eliminate a lot of that, attachment. I call it artificial attachment, like getting attached to somebody way too soon when it's not really a real connection.
I love that.
I did that so much in my first year of dating, and that won't happen ever again. That's why I have a lot of first dates, but not a lot of second dates,
I love the artificial attachment line. I think that's a really good perspective. I think out of what you said, I think one thing that gets lost in what you're saying is boundaries. I think everyone gets lost in, I want to be a nice person, but they forget about setting their own boundaries. Like they're not letting somebody off the hook because, they're just being nice and they don't want to let them down. They want to hurt their feelings and they want to keep talking to them, but they don't honor themselves first. They're almost honoring the other person. The boundaries, I think, is as important as anything, but I love that. Do you do second date updates?
I do. I include them in, on the page, and I'll just title it. I'll say second date update. But I'll call it, date number 7, because from the beginning of the page, I'm numbering each date as they're happening, but date number 8 might actually be a third date update,
Gotcha.
Gentlemen. And I could come up with names, like I could call them all Carl or something, with this Carl,
sure.
but no, again, it's not about that person. And I actually, one night I was recording a pre-date update, and I did say his name, and my girlfriend text messaged me right away. And I don't have a huge following, so it was okay. She messaged me and she said, "You said his name." So I immediately took it down and re-recorded it, without any identifying information.
That's good. That's always good. So you also made mention that you're not having any problems getting these first dates. So enjoying the apps and enjoying the dates, getting a whole bunch of new restaurants figured out too in the process.
Yeah, except I can't eat anything because I'm training.
Oh, you're training. That's right.
Competition. But here's the other great thing about this, Chris, is that I am going on some really fun dates, things that aren't food focused or drink focused, which that's twofold. Not drinking, not, being able to drink, or if you're somebody that doesn't drink because for whatever reason, there's a handful of people out there that aren't down with that. They want to be able to, and that's okay. I'm not judging anyone for their choice because I have my own personal choices, but this is kind of where boundaries and expectations come into play too. If I'm going to match with somebody and I share that up front, I say, well, I can't eat, I can't drink. Here's why. And, if you'd still like to get together, let's plan something active. And I'm always happy to make suggestions. I don't expect the person that I'm matching with to just accommodate me. There has to be 50-50. And I've had people say, well, I don't know what we're going to do. And they get really kind of put off by it, and I immediately unmatch. I immediately say, well, that's not going to go anywhere because, obvious reasons. So
Yeah.
It's fun to kind of come up with different dates.
Yeah. That's kind of cool because, like, especially we're in the Midwest. We're in different areas of the Midwest, but we're in the Midwest. And I feel like there is so, like, everybody has to have their alcohol or they can't have a good time. It is like the exception, not the rule, to find somebody who, no, I can go out tonight and not drink. I mean, like, I rarely drink just for whatever reason. I stopped years ago. I just never seen the benefit of it, I guess. I got a big personality. I don't need liquid courage.
Yeah.
So I would rather do what you're doing. Like, you have some, I don't know exactly where it's at. Mike told me about some miniature golf place that sounds fucking spectacular, that I'm like, dude, I'm coming up in 3 weeks. We're going. Like, that sounds like the coolest date on the planet. Although Mike and I aren't dating. I just want everybody to know that.
Your boyfriend, Mike.
Yeah, but my brother Mike, I mean, not it's just, he doesn't do it for me. He doesn't have the eyes. That's all.
I know. It's okay.
But that place looks amazing. So I'm just like, oh, dude, we got to check that place out. So, but there's so many, like, stuff like that where you're getting all these cool new experiences.
And here's the other thing about that. I was at the gym the other night, and I have a friend that I train with sometimes, and he's not single. He's not in the dating world, but he has an opinion. And so I was sharing with him, and he said, well, why are you even doing this right now when you're so restricted? Like, he didn't get it. He said, isn't that kind of annoying for the guys that you're dating? And I said, well, no, it really helps me kind of figure out pretty quickly who might be a great match for me, because this is a part of my life and it's who I am. And I'm looking for somebody that's going to support me. And he said, yeah, but going on a first date, like, you really, alcohol kind of helps relax you a little bit. It helps your true personality come out. And I said, I actually look at it the complete opposite way.
Yes.
I feel that when I am not drinking alcohol, I'm able to be my true self without any sort of, altercation to my personality. And I think people can see the real me without that. And I get to see the other person a little bit more clearly too. So, and I don't require anybody that I'm dating to not drink if I'm with them. But I find that 90% of the people that I've dated this summer will match me with that. And they'll say, oh, that's cool. I'll do this with you too,
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd like to know that they don't need to do it. Like, whether they can or they can. I'd like to know, hey, if we're going to go hang out, I'd like to know that tonight you're not going to do it, and still have a good time and enjoy yourself. Your life doesn't revolve on, I'm going to this bar or this bar. It's going to revolve, I'd like to go rock climbing, or I'd like to be active in these areas. Like, these are the things that are important to me, not the, how many growlers I can put back tonight.
Yeah. And it's a lot more cost effective, right? Yeah, I had a guy the other night say, man, you're a cheap date. And I was like, I sure am. I can't eat anything. I can't drink. I think I had a green tea, so I have no problem letting him pick up the tab, because I know that I'm not costing him anything. And, another date I had, we went to the gym and we worked out, and then we grabbed an iced coffee. And to me, that's something that I would do on a typical Saturday. So I experience those things with someone, the things that I would do normally,
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Like our first conversation, I loved it because of the man tricks and just where your thought process was. I love this tenfold more. Like, this is so cool. Like, the feedback you're getting, it has to be spectacular.
From the men?
From anybody who's watching your videos, just the people who watch your videos, and they've got to be good.
Yes, and this is the thing. I'm all about the relationships and the quality of the relationships that have been added to my life because of this, right? Like, there's a lot of things that I do for work, and it all comes back to relationships. And so having this page and this community of women, it's a very specific community of people that really are following and engaging with me on it. And they've become friends with me. They will private message me before my date, after my date. We'll cheer each other on. We check in on each other. And it's just been so cool. Now I feel like they've actually translated into real relationships. They're not just fake. I actually posted something the other night to a couple of the ladies, and I said, Labor Day weekend's coming up. I don't have any plans. Maybe we could all do a meetup, and that, to me, that's what it's all about. I'm then connecting with other people that are in a similar phase of life, and experiencing something very similar with men, and putting ourselves out there and trying to find a connection. And it just feels really good to have that support, because that's what gives you the confidence then to go out there. And when rejection happens, for example, it's okay. It doesn't sting as much,
No, no, not at all.
So,
Because something else is coming around the corner. That's just part of the experience, to be honest.
it's a numbers
I think,
game.
yeah, I think it's funny. I think we have kind of me doing this show, you doing your own show. I mean, it really is. It's your own show. We have a lot of parallels. Like, there's definitely been, like, just take us, for instance. We met because you told me a situation, but now I feel like, there's plenty of times we could just, hey, how you doing? I'm good. All right. Have a good, like, you all of a sudden become more than just what the interaction is. And that's what's happening to you and those people. And those people are identifying, and you're helping, and they're going, wow, this is great. You're a voice. Like, I can help, like, do these things as well. I do those, and they just identify. It's a really cool feeling.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoying it. And I think that the point that you're making me think of in that, and I'm sorry,
Don't be sorry.
walking by the, so let me
It's got to make an appearance.
take a sip of whatever you're drinking. We have a pause here in the show. I think the thing that I just thought of, sorry, let's just give it a second here.
You're just fine. I can't even really hear.
Like what the Great Pyrenees is like, you guys, in case anybody was wondering.
The beauty is the Zoom has a lot of noise cancellation filters. So what you can hear, we can barely hear. So you're
okay,
good.
That's great. I was going to say, on that vein of confidence and just connection and community, it's really helped me kind of grow as an individual person too. And I think of it as kind of like legs under a table, where I have all of these things going, and I have the confidence now to kind of go out there, put myself out there, because I have the support of these other people in my life. I'm growing my friendship circle. I'm really focused on my business, because in a way, my first date update page is kind of helping me with that too. Kind of like what we were talking about a little bit before with like what I do for a living, and helping people through coaching and that kind of thing. So I'm developing all of these other areas of my life simultaneously while working on dating. And so when that rejection happens, or when somebody says you're not for me, or I say that, someone else isn't for me, that all stings. But it's kind of like one of those legs cracking a little bit, but you have all of the other ones there still holding the table up. It's not all going to fall like a house of cards. You know what I mean?
6 months ago, you feel like it might have fallen like a house of cards.
Oh my gosh, someone would have gone boo, and I would have gone, and I would just fallen right over, because I was so broken after divorce. I was so, like I said before, I was so hungry to be liked and to have validation. And I just and I knew in my soul, like, I'm a good person. I know somebody will love me. And, I think I just went out there and just assumed it would happen just like that. And then, it didn't. And I remember getting ghosted pretty much by the first guy that I kind of dated, and just experiencing such rejection, and it hurt so bad. And I didn't realize at the time that when somebody does something like that to you, it has everything to do with that person and not you. But I took it so personally. I thought, what is wrong with me?
I mean, everything you're saying has come such a fucking long way. I love everything that you're saying. I mean, we said it I don't know if this is going to air before or after what you and me and everyone else did the other day, but and talked about it on then, like, anything that goes wrong, if you fix internally, it'll come out externally. Like, it's all here. Once you get it inside and, you feel good about things, that's what you will attract. You will attract those good things. You don't feel as good, then all of a sudden more madness happens, it seems like. So it's always outside. All right. I know you're a busy girl, so I'll let you roll, but we've said it 15 times. Is it just on Insta, or is it on YouTube too? I forget.
It's on Instagram right now. I mean, it's a side thing that I have going on. So I'm sure I will put more time and effort into growing it. And I'd love to grow it. I'd love to explore what else can happen with this page, but it's called First Date Update. It is on Instagram. It is a private account without my photo. And but I'm a fast responder, and I will, let people in. I'm not trying to keep people out. There's a specific group of people I'm trying to keep out.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fun. Check it out.
Thank you for being along for the ride of the Swipe Wrong podcast. Remember, everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world. The show is produced by Jay Pelham. He is the host of Pelham Place. So make sure to check that out. Also, I am Chaos, the host of Chaotic Commentary. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, tell a friend about the pod. And if you have something that you want to share, please, we want to hear from everybody and get everybody's stories as much as we possibly can. Email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. Give us a call, leave us a voicemail. Let us know if it's okay to call you back. 317-426-6616. Thanks for being along for the ride. And next week, the saga continues.